This is the only handstand guide you'll ever need. In this video, we're gonna cover everything that you need to know to get your first handstand hold, covering things like warm-ups, drills, exercises, how often you should be training. Everything that you need to know about the handstand will be in this video. Another thing that's really important to note is that the more scared you are, the slower you will progress. Those who are not afraid of the handstand or don't put the skill on a pedestal will always unlock it quicker than those who look at the handstand as this difficult, impossible to achieve skill. I will tell all of you right now that the handstand can be unlocked in 2 weeks or less, okay? Some of you watching this video will believe that that's true and you will get it in 2 weeks. Others of you will take 6 months to learn it because in your head it's the hardest thing ever. I want to make sure that we dispel that notion entirely. All of you are capable of unlocking this skill. All of you deserve to unlock this skill. All right, guys, so before we start with our actual handstand demonstrations and training, we want to make sure that we have a good wrist and shoulder warm-up. Injuries are going to be the #1 cause of plateaus when it comes to your calisthenics training, and so that's why it's very, very crucial to properly warm up, especially key areas like your wrists and your shoulders. And so I'll run you guys through a warm-up that you can do before you do any type of calisthenics related training. It's very important to understand that we want to avoid static stretching. No holding a stretch for extended period of time. This actually will increase your risk of injury, and so we want to avoid static stretching entirely. We'll first start off with warming up the wrists. What I like to do is plant both of my hands on the ground and then do wrist circles. Really just trying to enter that deep stretch position and get out of it, right? Kind of like you're bouncing in and out of it. And I like to do this for about 30 seconds, just circling back and forth. And so after about 30 seconds of that, I'll go into my next wrist warm-up, and it's basically going to be the same thing, but you're going to put the top of your hand on the ground like this. And same thing here. We're going to move in circles, right? Now we're stretching a different part of our wrists and a different part of our forearms. So again, just moving in circles slowly and getting that deep, deep stretch in, right? Leaning back into that stretch. And the final thing that I like to do for my wrist warm-up are these finger pulses. So you'll put your hands on the ground like we did with the first wrist stretch and warm-up, and then you will simply just do pulses on the ground. And this is really, really good at warming up the flexors of your forearms. And so your wrist warm-up should take no more than 5 minutes. Just run through those 3 exercises until that you feel that your wrists are in a suitable position for you to balance. The next thing I like to warm up is going to be my shoulder joint. And really you only need, again, 3 main exercises for this. The first one that I like to start off with is going to be shoulder dislocates. So you're going to take some sort of resistance band and you're just going to do circles with the resistance band. And the closer that your hands are together, the more intense the stretch will be. So when you're first starting off with these, make sure you're grabbing the resistance band as wide as possible, right? This is gonna be the easiest. However, as your shoulder starts to get more mobile and more flexible, you can begin holding it closer and closer. Another thing that people often do wrong when they do shoulder dislocates is they let their thoracic spine go like this. You don't want to open up your chest when you do these. So keep your chest closed when you do your shoulder dislocates. So like this. And it's going to make the stretch more intense because if you let yourself open up, you're basically cheating the movement. Okay, so really keep your chest closed when you do these. And so again, with the shoulder dislocates, I'll do about 20 reps of those, and then I'll go into my internal and external rotation warm-up. So to warm up the external rotators of our shoulders, I will grab the band and I will simply try to pull it apart, right? Just little pulses like this. Again, you can do this for 20, 30 reps, will be more than enough. Okay guys, so it's very important that you understand the handstand on a conceptual level, right? What is actually going on in your hands that allows you to actually balance, right? Hold yourself in that freestanding position. So it's very important to look at your hands as a gas pedal and a brake pedal, okay? Like in a car. So in a handstand, you are constantly fighting between falling forwards or backwards, okay? What I mean by falling forward is you're falling over yourself. So your legs are coming over your head and you're falling that way. If you're falling backwards, it means you're falling towards your stomach side. And so if we look at our hands in a handstand, if we're falling over ourselves, we're going forward and we want to stop. We want to come back, right? We want to slow down. And so when you're falling over yourself and it's scary, press the ground as hard as you can with your fingertips, okay? And that's going to cause you to come back. And vice versa. If you're falling towards this side, then we want to make sure that we bring ourselves back forward, right? We need more gas. We need to hit the gas pedal to come forward. And so how you do that is just the opposite. You press into the ground with your palm side. And so what might actually happen is if you're making a big correction to save yourself to come forward, your fingertips will actually lift off of the ground and all of the weight will be in your palm. You must keep this in mind, okay? Whenever you're doing your balance sets and you're doing the exercise that I'm going to show in this video, you need to think about your hands and consciously try to understand, okay, why do I need to do this at this point? And you need to reinforce those good habits. That's why I recommend recording yourself so you can analyze and really look at your hand actually and see if it's doing the right things during your set. And a common misconception that I see a lot of beginners get stuck up on is they're all worried about this perfect straight line, okay? Truth be told, the reason you can't hold a handstand isn't because you're a straight line, right? It's because you don't understand what's going on here. Some other key mistakes that I see beginners do is they don't know where to look in their handstand, right? You need to be looking at the space between your hands, right? So pretend I'm in a handstand and I'm upside down right now. My eyes are looking right here. And so when I'm doing a handstand, I'm only looking at the space between my hands, right? You don't want to be looking backwards like this. You want to be looking at the space between your hands. And the last and most important thing that you need to keep in mind is when you're in your handstand, you want to think of pushing into the ground. Almost think like you're trying to push the earth away, okay? And what this is going to do, it's going to keep you in a much stronger and tighter position when you're in your handstand. And so now I'll demonstrate to you guys what a clean handstand looks like with all of these cues in mind. So I've entered the handstand and I'm thinking of pushing into the ground, pushing the earth away. And also, I'm looking at the space directly between my hands, right? You don't want to look backwards. You want to just make sure you're looking straight at the ground. Also, pay attention to the corrections I'm making with my palms and fingers to keep myself balanced. This is what you're going to be learning to do in the exercises that we talk about next. Another thing I want to quickly mention about the handstand is going to be these things. Parallettes. They are virtually the same as doing the handstand on the ground, except your wrist is in a nicer position. And the difference between floor adjustments and parallette adjustments is parallette adjustments, you will either pull on the bar this way, you will try to pull it off the ground, so almost like you're trying to do this. And that's going to bring you forward. So that's going to be your gas pedal. And same thing goes the other way. Pushing into the P-bar, right? If we just push into it, that's going to stop us from falling forward, so it's going to cause us to come back. Some people prefer parallettes because it's easier on their wrists. However, for the rest of this video, we're going to focus on the floor because floor is cooler. All right, guys, so the first exercise that you're going to use to unlock your handstand is going to be back to wall assisted holds. Back to wall assisted holds will allow you to perfectly learn the activations that you're going to need in the real handstand. And to be honest, this is where majority of your work is going to be on your journey to unlocking the handstand. So I'm going to have Colin here demonstrate to you guys how to do a back to wall assisted handstand hold. He's going to first start off by gripping the ground, and he's going to be about a hand's length away from the wall, so relatively close to the wall. If you put your hands too far away from the wall, you will be in a banana shape, and we want to avoid that. So keep your hands one hand length away from the wall. The thing that you need to focus on in these holds is taking one leg off the wall at a time. So what you want to do is first take one leg off of the wall, find balance with it, and then take the other one off of the wall and try to balance with both legs off of the wall. Perfect. And over time, every single day that you do this, you're going to start feeling those fine-tuned corrections getting better and better, right? Getting more accurate, getting longer holds. When it comes to training this exercise, you should set a 30-minute timer on your phone and do sets until the 30-minute timer is up every single day, okay? That's how you're gonna get the handstand, and that's how you're gonna get the handstand quick. Like we previously talked about, we want to make sure that we're applying all of the mental cues that we have discussed, right? Pushing into the ground really hard, looking at the space between your hands, and making adjustments with your fingers and your palms. So Colin now will demonstrate to us how bad form looks like and then how good form looks like so that you guys are aware. So in this bad form example, not only is he looking backwards, but his arms are bent and everything is wrong. So now shows good form. See how the head position changed. He's now looking at the space between his hands, his arms are locked out, and he's pushing his shoulders away from the ground, right? He's pushing the earth away. And so this is amazing, amazing form right here. It's also important to mention the chest to wall assisted variation, right? So with back to wall assisted, we're kicking up this way. But with chest to wall, it's going to be flipped. And so there's some advantages to this exercise and some disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage of this exercise is that it's much scarier. And so for beginners learning handstand, it's much harder to do consistently. However, it does have a big advantage, that being that you will learn a perfect form handstand because your body will not allow you to banana like it will in a back to wall hold. So it's best to include some chest to wall working sets along with your back to wall sets. And Colin now will show us how to enter the chest to wall assisted handstand. So instead of kicking up, we're going to slowly walk up the wall and move our hands back as we walk up, okay? Again, for this, you can be a little bit further away from the wall. You don't have to be one hand length away. And same concept here. You're going to try to take one leg off the wall at a time and balance. And to bail, you will simply turn to the side, okay? Just like that. So don't try to bail walking back this way. Just simply turn and let your body fall the other way, okay? But keep most of your focus on the back to wall assisted handstand holds and implement some chest to wall holds either at the very beginning of your session or at the very end, just to reiterate the proper form. Once you're able to comfortably and consistently hold both legs off of the wall for 15 seconds, you're ready for freestanding attempts. Now there's a few things that we need to consider here. Many times beginners struggle with this part of their journey because they are scared to fall. So the first thing that we're actually going to do before we get into our attempts is we're going to practice bailing. Bailing is very, very easy, and you have to realize that at this point you just have a mental barrier, right? And we need to break that mental barrier so that you're not afraid to actually balance and express all of the work that you've been putting in against the wall. And so with bailing, it's quite simple. You're going to kick up purposefully really, really hard, and you're going to just turn, okay? So I'll demonstrate to you guys, and then I'll walk you through kind of what I'm doing at each point. But eventually this becomes muscle memory to you. So kick up into the handstand, you'll overshoot it, and you fall. And so what happened there? So I'm right dominant. So what happened is I started turning towards my right side and I kept my left hand planted on the ground. And as I turned to the right side, my right hand lifted and I landed on the ground while my left hand stayed on the ground. So I'll demonstrate to you guys again, but basically the whole idea with bailing is twisting your body so that your feet can land on the other side. Kick up, twist, land, okay? It's that simple. And so what I recommend doing is starting your freestanding attempt sessions with a few bails, just like that. Just purposefully bail so that you're not scared when you're doing your actual freestanding attempts. Also, you might see some videos online telling you that it's okay to just bail with both hands forward onto a mat and do kind of a somersault. That is horrible, never do that. Like I said, with bailing, it's just twisting towards your dominant side, okay? And also another thing that I don't want to see any of you guys do, because it's going to bottleneck your progress when it comes to learning more advanced skills in calisthenics like the handstand push-up, is walking on your hands. If you lose balance, just fall, okay? Just bail out of the set, you're done. Don't start walking around and trying to find your balance, because that's going to reinforce really, really bad habits that are really hard to break later on in your journey. And so there are some very important things to note when it comes to our freestanding attempts. The two biggest things I want you guys to focus on is going to be keeping your shoulders in line with your wrists, okay? You don't want them to be forward like this. You don't want your shoulders past your wrists, and you'll never have your shoulders behind your wrists because then you'll lose balance, right? So you want to keep your shoulders over your wrists. So in terms of demonstrating freestanding handstand, for the kick up, we want to make sure that when we're in our starting position, that our shoulders are over our wrists, okay? So that's how you know when to start your kick up. And so we get in position and we kick with this leg, right? The leg that's bent is the one that you're going to be generating the force from, and then you're going to lead with your straight leg up, okay? So you see how even when I just throw my leg up, I go up, okay? Let's see how the kick up looks like. Keep the shoulders stacked over the wrists, kick. And so, you know, if you're first doing your freestanding attempts and you have a banana back, that is okay. That will fix itself as you get better at balancing and as you get more comfortable. You also want to make sure that we're pushing the ground away, right? This is also going to help us be taller and more straight in our handstand. So keep the shoulders over the wrist before we kick up. Kick, push into the ground. Push into the ground, point your toes, and boom, you've unlocked your first handstand. And so banana back happens when we are leaned forward in our shoulders. Right? We create this natural arch. To avoid the banana, we just need to press into the ground more, okay? It's going to straighten your body out and you're gonna have that clean handstand line that you're looking for. With your freestanding attempts, it's going to be the same type of thing as the back to wall and chest to wall assisted holds. Do your attempts as frequently as possible. Right? Given the fact that you can already hold a handstand with both legs off of the wall for, 10 to 15 seconds consistently, you can already do a handstand at this point, okay? The only thing stopping you is fear. So kick up every single day, set a timer on your phone for 20 to 30 minutes and kick up and try to get your first handstand hold, okay? You guys can do it. I believe in you. You just need to spam attempts, spam bail drills, get over that fear of falling, and you'll get your first handstand hold. Before this video ends, I want to talk about some important things that I need you guys to keep in mind when you do your handstand training. Understand that frequency is the #1 thing that will determine how fast or slow you will get your handstand. Training the handstand 30 minutes a day, 6 times a week is better than training it 1 hour a day, 3 times a week, okay? Really emphasizing that day-to-day handstand balancing. So follow everything that I've spoken about in this video, and you guys will get your first handstand hold in no time. I wish you guys the best of luck, and definitely check out the handstand push-up tutorial after you've learned the handstand. If you guys are struggling to learn calisthenics, feel free to check the description of this video. There will be a link to my community Discord server. It has close to 1,000 members, and if you have any questions about calisthenics, it's a great place to join and meet others who are as passionate about calisthenics as you are. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. I'll see you guys in the next one.